Hello, my dear students. This is Dr. Pooja Johari, your biochemistry faculty. In this video, we are going to discuss about a very important vitamin, vitamin B7. Now, vitamin B7, first of all, B means it belongs to water-soluble vitamins. So, let's start up with the discussion of vitamin B7. Now, what are the characteristic features of this? First of all, it is a water-soluble vitamin, and under water-soluble vitamins, it comes under energy-releasing vitamin also. Energy-releasing vitamin. Right. And if we talk about the structure of this somewhat looks like this, as you can see here, right? This is isovaleric acid which is attached to this. Now, what is the function of this B7? So, the most important function of this B7 is it catalyzes the carboxylation. So, the most important function I would say is carboxylation. And this is also synthesized by the intestinal bacteria. Very important again. So, I can say that it is an endogenously synthesized vitamin. So, endogenously synthesized vitamin, and I will just give you all other vitamins which are synthesized in the body. First is, we can say niacin. Niacin is synthesized by tryptophan. Then second is vitamin D, which is synthesized from 7-dehydrocholesterol. Then vitamin K, vitamin B5 and vitamin B7. These are the three important vitamins which are synthesized by the intestinal flora or the gut bacteria. Okay, so this is very important which you have to remember. So, vitamin B7 is one of them. B5 is pantothenic acid which is required, which is related with the metabolism of the fatty acids. Now, coming over to this B7, just now I told you that the main function is it helps in carboxylation. So, there exists a cycle, okay, which we call it as a carboxy-biotin cycle. Biotin cycle is there. And if we talk about, this is biotin cycle, right? You can see that biotin we are getting from the diet also, okay. Then the name of the enzyme is biotinidase, which actually catalyzes the splitting. It forms biocytin, or you can say carboxybiotin. And then the moment it performs its function, it is converted back to its original shape, because it is acting as a coenzyme. Now the question is that what is the source of biotin? Now this biotin, which is used as a carboxylation coenzyme, there is a, I would say, opposite part also present in raw egg white, which is Avidin. Okay, so I can say that there is an antidote for this Avidin which is present in raw egg. So, whenever a person is consuming raw egg, he will be more prone to the deficiency of biotin. What is the reason behind that? Because raw egg is having Avidin, and this Avidin will block biotin to function. So, if biotin is blocked, no carboxylation will be there. Now the question is, since it is used as a coenzyme, what are the main reactions in which it is used as a coenzyme? So, we can say that there are biotin-dependent carboxylation reactions, biotin-dependent carboxylation reactions. Right. And the reactions are, first reaction is, it is a component of acetyl-coenzyme A carboxylase. First is acetyl-coenzyme A carboxylase. A very important enzyme which is actually a rate limiting enzyme for lipogenesis. And what is the function of this acetyl-coenzyme A carboxylase? It simply converts acetyl-coenzyme A to methylmalonyl-CoA. Right? So it is a rate limiting enzyme. Again, what are the main components of this? Whenever biotin is acting as a carboxylation coenzyme, A, B, C is the one which is required, where A stands for ATP, B stands obviously for biotin, and C stands for bicarbonate ions. So basically biotin is carrying this. So we call it as biocytin, or we can call it as carboxybiotin. The moment it will donate, the moment it will transfer this carbon dioxide, it will come back. Then second important enzyme is pyruvate carboxylase. Now we see acetyl-coenzyme A is a coenzyme of, you can say acetyl-coenzyme A carboxylase is a rate limiting enzyme for lipogenesis. Similarly, pyruvate carboxylase is for gluconeogenesis, and this is the only enzyme of gluconeogenesis which is present in the mitochondria. Okay, so here if we talk about the reaction, pyruvate, which is having 3 carbon atoms, you can see everywhere there is increase in the number of carbon atoms. Pyruvate is converted into oxaloacetate, which has 4 carbon atoms. Here also if you see, acetyl coenzyme A has 2 carbon atoms, methylmalonyl-CoA has 3 carbon atoms. So we are increasing the number of carbon atoms. Right? Then third reaction in carboxylation is propionyl-coenzyme A carboxylase. Right? So here what happens is, this is propionyl-coenzyme A which is coming from the degradation of odd chain fatty acids. So if we talk about the reaction here, simple you can say this propionyl-coenzyme A will form d-methylmalonyl-CoA. Very important, and we can say that this d-methylmalonyl-CoA will be converted into L-methylmalonyl-CoA. Right? Here the enzyme is this, and this L-methylmalonyl-CoA in the presence of B12 or mutase will be converted into succinyl coenzyme A. So this is also a very, very important reaction, because whenever this biotin is deficient in the diet, it leads to multiple carboxylase defect. Why? Because most of the important carboxylation reactions will be absent. And then the fourth reaction is propionyl coenzyme A carboxylase. This enzyme is used in leucine metabolism. Right, so we can say that biotin is required for variety of carboxylation reactions, very, very important, and these are biotin dependent carboxylation reactions. First is conversion of acetyl coenzyme to methylmalonyl-CoA, which is the rate limiting enzyme of lipogenesis. Second is pyruvate carboxylase, which converts pyruvate to oxaloacetic acid, and this is a very important enzyme of gluconeogenesis. Then comes propionyl coenzyme A carboxylase, which is required to convert propionyl coenzyme A to succinyl coenzyme A. This reaction also plays a very important role. And then comes crotonol coenzyme A carboxylase, which is required for the metabolism of leucine. Okay, and the most important clinical significance of this is whenever we are consuming raw egg white, we are more prone to biotin deficiency. What is the reason behind that? Because this raw egg consists of avidin, which will not let biotin to function. Okay, so these are simply biotin dependent carboxylation reactions. But there are certain other reactions also carboxylation which does not require biotin. So we can say they are biotin independent. Carboxylation reactions. And the most important biotin independent carboxylation reaction is role of vitamin K. Role of vitamin K in the post-translational carboxylation of glutamic acid. It leads to post-translational modification, or you can say carboxylation of glutamate. Right, so this is one very important biotin independent carboxylation reaction. Second is pyrimidine biosynthesis. In pyrimidine biosynthesis also, carboxylation is there. Right, similarly if we talk about purines, purines may be carboxylation is there. So these are biotin independent carboxylation reactions. There are others also, but we will be just focusing on this because here this video is particularly upon the functions of vitamin B7, which is catalyzing the carboxylation. Then comes what are the deficiency manifestations of this vitamin. So deficiency manifestations it will lead to multiple carboxylase defect. Multiple carboxylase defect. Right. And if we talk about what are the main deficiency manifestations, if we talk about the skin and hair. Okay. If we talk about the neurological manifestations, then what will be the metabolic manifestations and what will be the GI manifestations. So if we talk about the skin and hair, it leads to alopecia. The nails will be brittle and they will easily break. Brittle hair. Okay, and there will be dryness of the scalp. So it will be seborrheic dermatitis also will be there. Seborrheic dermatitis. If we talk about the neurological manifestations, ataxia will be there. It might lead to seizures. Right, then we can say pain will be there. Okay, then it will lead to paresthesis. And if we talk about the metabolic ones, metabolic may the most important one here will be, it will lead to acidosis. Metabolic acidosis will be there and organic aciduria. Duria will be there. And if we talk about the GI system, anorexia will be there. And glossitis will be there. Right. And just to remember, these are the manifestations. If we have to remember them, the mnemonic is bad. Just to remember them, you just remember this mnemonic BAT, where B stands for baldness, right? A stands for acidosis, and D stands for dermatitis. Or it might lead to depression also, because most of the carboxylation reactions, as I have told you, they will suffer. If we talk about the neurological manifestations, again, because propionyl coenzyme A is involved there, so it will suffer, right? Then we come out to what are the factors which can lead to the deficiency of biotin. So the most important factors which can lead to leading to the deficiency of biotin are or B7, right? The first and the foremost factor is prolonged use of antibiotics. Prolonged use of the antibiotics. Why? Because whenever we have so much of antibiotics, they are going to basically disrupt the intestinal flora. So obviously B7 will not be properly synthesized. Then consumption of egg white, raw, basically raw egg, because I told you raw egg has avidin into it. So again it is going to destroy B7. So these are the two main factors. Or if we talk about the genetic one, if there is deficiency of biotinidase enzyme. So if this is also deficient, so the biotin cycle will be hampered. So I can say that here biotin cycle will be hampered. So this is vitamin B7. The most important thing which we have to remember is, let's quickly revise, that biotin is required for carboxylation. And if you see this reaction, biotin cycle, you can say that biotin is there. Okay, this is the enzyme which is required for degrading it, right? And if we talk about this, you can say that vitamin B7 is the most important vitamin which is again synthesized by the intestinal flora. This is carboxy-biotin cycle, or we can also call it as biotin cycle, whatever you can say, biotin cycle, right? Then Avidin, if we consume more of raw egg, so automatically it is going to block biotin, it won't let biotin to function. So no carboxylation will be there. Now what are the biotin dependent carboxylation reactions? You have to remember there are only 4 reactions in the body which require biotin for the addition of carbon dioxide. One is acetyl-coenzyme carboxylase, which is the rate limiting enzyme of lipogenesis. So acetyl-coenzyme is converted into methylmalonyl-CoA, so this reaction will suffer. Then pyruvate carboxylase, this is an enzyme of gluconeogenesis. And this is the only enzyme of gluconeogenesis present in the mitochondria, where pyruvate forms oxaloacetic acid. Then again this will suffer. Then propionyl coenzyme A carboxylase. Propionyl coenzyme A is coming from the degradation of odd chain fatty acids, and it is again a precursor of gluconeogenesis. And this reaction 𝗲𝗵 is important because one thing is it requires biotin and second is it requires B12. So neurological manifestations will be there. And then leucine metabolism, where leucine is again a potent ketogenic amino acid. And then we come over to, there are, ऐसा नहीं है कि all the carboxylation reactions require biotin. There are biotin independent carboxylation reactions also. जैसे vitamin K, because vitamin K is the only fat soluble vitamin which is acting as a coenzyme, whereas all the water soluble vitamins are acting as coenzymes. And how it acts as a coenzyme? It leads to the post-translational carboxylation of glutamate. Okay, Glutamic acid is there in prothrombin, then nephrocalcin is there. So many are there. Then in the synthesis of pyrimidines or purines. We are not taking these steps into detail because here we are basically dealing with only and only biotin. So what are the deficiency manifestations? It leads to multiple carboxylase defect, multiple. And you know, it is also known as, it forms tomcat urine. The urine will start giving the smell of that, cat, like that. Why it is so? Because it is leading to organic aciduria. It will lead to metabolic acidosis because acetyl coenzyme A, if it is not being converted into this 𝗵𝗪𝗺-CoA, it will be diverted somewhere else, right? So if we talk about the manifestations here, we can see that skin and hair mein it leads to alopecia. That is why it leads to baldness also. So if you go to the market and buy any shampoo which is good for your hair growth, you will see biotin is one of the major components. Okay. Then it leads to brittle hair. Hair will immediately break. And dermatitis. Dry scalp will be there, giving rise to dandruff. Then neurological manifestations, if we see, ataxia, seizures, pain and paresthesiasis will be there. If we talk about metabolic, acidosis and organic aciduria will be there. And if we talk about the GI symptoms, you can say that anorexia will be there, glossitis will be there. Right? Neurological symptoms. Then, this is just a mnemonic to remember BAD. BAD में B stands for baldness, A stands for acidosis, D stands for dermatitis or depression, just to remember it. And then what are the factors which can lead to the deficiency? सबसे important is if we consume raw egg. Okay, so basically what is the funda behind that? Because raw egg is rich in avidin, it will not let biotin to function. Second is whenever we use the prolonged use of antibiotics, so because they are going to disturb the intestinal flora. And genetically if there is biotinidase deficiency, so biotin cycle will not be there, so again it will lead to the deficiency of B7. Right? So this is all about B7, which is also an energy releasing vitamin. So we can say that all the B complex vitamins में B1, B2, B3, B5 and B7, they are the energy releasing vitamins. In the next video, we will be studying about the hematopoietic vitamins, which include vitamin B9, folic acid and B12, which is known as cobalamin. And others which will again come in B complex, that would be B6PLP, which is again a very, very important vitamin. So that's all in this video. I hope you have understood about B7. This is a very important vitamin for carboxylation reactions in the body. Thank you so much.